the Dean of Formation at One Spirit Learning Alliance and part of the education team. And we are joined by Rev Andrew and Rev Julie. Um, Rev Andrew is class of 2026 and Rev Julie is class of 2025. And I'm a proud member of the Love Dogs class of 2012. Um, and so just last weekend, we had a beautiful event on January 15th. We had part one of a two-part lecture series and info session where Rev Andrew, you were one of our lecturers. So how was that to have just graduated in June and already be back at One Spirit helping to teach?
Uh, it's an honor. And also, it's been a long summer, so I kind of felt like put me in, coach. And also, maybe this happens to many people, but I hear my own voice a little differently now. Maybe a little closer to reality, perhaps, if I can be so bold. There's that thing of how no one ever hears their voice as it actually is. No one ever sees them as they actually are. But I feel like after being ordained and going through One Spirit, I'm a little closer to seeing the true me and hearing the true me.
Wow.
I love that.
Isn't that interesting? Because that the topic for the lecture series, well, for that part of the lecture series is discerning your call, how to discern a call. And how does your voice sounding differently? Is that related to your call? Is that related to the experience at One Spirit somehow?
It is. And part of it is, honestly, I think there's been a couple of instances where I've been out in the world with faculty and seen the humanness in all of us, and it helps me be a peer, and it's interesting because it's not my, I can want to seek validation in all the empty ways that all of us do, but joining is different than seeking validation. Sometimes validation just comes from joining the human race, joining my peers, being a person among people, a worker among workers. There's a real joy to that and a real fun to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was remarkable for me. Rev Julie would be so proud to see this class we just brought through. Several representatives from your class. We had Rev Pat Martin, and we had Rev Rev Frida, and yourself, and then our CEO, Rev Courtney, also brought that thing home, and it was really something to hear and to be a part of. We've got something coming up this weekend. The admissions fair is from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time. It's all on Zoom. And if a person has uploaded their application and made sure that they have their recommendation uploaded, they're able to have their interview and get a decision in the same day. And so that's pretty exciting. That's happening this Saturday, and that information is available at onespirit.org. But Rev Julie was able to participate in a beautiful online event that you were ordained at your home church at Inner Light. And I know that that's been such a beautifully crafted spiritual journey that took you through some bends and twists. But how are you feeling about it now, a couple weeks out from that whole ceremony?
Similar to what Rev Andrews said about like landing somewhere where he can hear himself differently. That's what I felt that was happening for me. It was like I was certainly moved, and it was amazing to be ordained at One Spirit. And then I went through a year, right? A year of life, a year of opportunity to practice the principles that I had learned, to really, like, where is my faith anyway, right? You're a minister now, as if that meant that I was supposed to be something different or act differently.
Right.
And I felt like life was testing me on every level. And the opportunity to renew my vows, so to speak, to be ordained, to have Reverend Deborah Johnson introduce me to vows that were even that much deeper, that much more powerful. Like, woo, I physically and felt myself emotionally stepping into my ministry deeper. It was just, everything just went like more. And I felt myself stepping into that in a way that I had not anticipated. It certainly had to do with the fact that she asked me to speak and I didn't want to, as you heard. Like, I was a no. And I remember ministerial school telling people, no, 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 I'm not a pulpit. I'm not going to be doing that. But I am a person who surrenders. And I surrendered when I felt called to ministerial school. It was like, okay, I have no idea what this program is going to consist of. I have no idea what I'm getting myself into, but I'm here. And life has transformed in ways that I could never have imagined.
I tell you, Rev Julie, seeing you take those vows was tremendous. It wasn't my body, but I promise you, I could feel it. I could feel it uh, when you were saying your vows, and also your sermon was so powerful and so spot on. As your former dean, I was so proud of how you brought your voice forward and how, like, what was clear to me, even when we were in the seminary journey together, this wasn't your first merry-go-round. You know, you're a powerful speaker and a powerful spiritual practitioner. And so it's not that you needed this in order to be spiritual or you needed this in order to have your gifts. You're naturally gifted, but something shifted as a result of being here. What do you think is part of the difference or part of the experience that led to the bigger yes, the deeper yes?
Well, I'm not going to get into detail about what particular classes or subjects that we covered while in ministerial school, but I know for me, they were divinely ordered.
Okay.
And I didn't know what to expect. There were times, as you know, as my dean, that I wanted out. It was too much, but not in a way that I knew that I couldn't handle. It's deep spiritual work, and it's exactly what I called forth into my life. So I think if anybody's contemplating ministerial school, they're calling it in. Like, I don't think it's random. And so if I hadn't have done the work that was required in seminary, I would never have been able to evolve to where I am now. And one of those things was to stand up and tell my story. And as I said, I was a no, I didn't want to do it. And it was a powerful experience to do it anyway and to surrender the whole thing to God and just let go. And
Can I
so
ask you
that's what I'm doing.
sorry, can I ask you a silly question?
Yeah.
What's it like to say yes to someone who wrote the book called Your Sacred Yes? Shout out to Reverend Deborah Johnson,
Yeah. She just
master
laughs.
teacher.
She just laughs at me, when I say no. And but she has been my greatest teacher, probably one of my greatest teachers. She's been, as I thanked her that day, from the bottom of my heart. I've been studying under her for 20 plus years now. She's one of the most powerful teachers I think out there.
Absolutely.
She walks her walk and talk, and she's the real deal.
Yes.
And yeah, she's the mentor.
Yes. And without knowing so many of us personally, she has mentored us through her writings, through her online ministry. So shout out again to Rev Deborah Johnson, Inner Light Ministries, just a profound teacher and mentor for so many of us. Rev Andrew, did any of that spark something for you?
Well, I have her book here on my desk, but it does Rev Julie, you talking made me think about how valuable we never know what individual voice is going to reach who, and I'm always fascinated by things where there's like multiple teachers who resonates with what. So if I can trust that maybe my authentic self, somebody's on my wavelength that can receive that, I was thinking about, I guess this is voice comes up. I'm a musician by vocation, and I was talking about voices with people, how everybody is literally given their own specific instrument, and that's certainly true here.
Yes, the deeper I go into ministry, the more I'm tempted to be in denial about what's happening because there is a greater demand on my inner resources. And I can see how I could think, well, this is too far, or this is too much, or something like that. But there is a trajectory here where the training, the vocational training, the skill building lends itself obviously to being able to hold more space or hold a certain quality of space. And then how that continues to invite opportunity to resource other areas in the environment, right? Other people, other places, and that pull on like how like Christians might refer to as like that virtue, right? And that touching the hem of Jesus's garment, he felt spiritual power, virtue be to come through him. When we feel ourselves giving or pouring out what we have to offer into our environment, uh, that can feel a little off-putting sometimes. And I find myself going, is this too much? Is this enough? Um, and so when we were talking about discerning the call, I think about that in an ongoing way. How do I continue to discern the call in this season, at this time in my life? And I was having a conversation with Rev Dr. Courtney about this before the lecture, and we were talking about this idea of being willing to be willing. It's something I picked up from A Course in Miracles teacher, Earl Purdy, who talks a lot about willingness. And I've learned a lot about it from him, how sometimes we want to go straight to surrender, especially as spiritual people. But if you have a life where you've crafted any kind of sense of yourself and your time and what your priorities are, you're probably not going to go from I'm managing my own life just fine to here I am, send me, in 30 seconds flat, right? That independent streak, like you were talking about, no, right? That independent streak or that sense of I know where I should be or what I'm comfortable with still comes through, even after the training that we're not training our personalities out of our ministries. So there are times when I can feel that I'm going through a transition and that there's going to be more that's required. And almost always the question is, am I willing to face the unknown the undefined, the unseen, in order to be in the place of grace that comes after us said yes. And sometimes my bridge for getting there, I can't tap into willingness right away, but I'm willing to be willing,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know? I'll take that step, or I'll see what you're talking about. Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe, start to
Mm.
play it, right, Andrew? Start to play it, see if I can pick it up. See if I can pick up
Yeah,
that too, right?
yeah, yeah.
hmm Yeah. When I think about how, like just a few minutes ago, before we hopped on here, I was listening to A Love Supreme. And my, right, the great John Coltrane. And from time to time, I listen to the third track on there. I think it is Pursuance. And that drum solo is like a long prayer to me. And I've never understood. I've listened to it 1,000 times, Red Julie. Every time I listen for the cue that he's about to bring the band in, because this drum solo is all over the place. Okay, different rhythms, different patterns, different feels. It sounds like chaos. Or it sounds like somebody pursuing something. I'm looking over here, I'm looking over there. Where is it? Where is it? What am I looking for? And then he hit, I could cry right now.
Mm-hmm.
Not because it's sad or even because it's so um it's not a teary song.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about when that thing comes together. I don't forget the drummer's name right now, but everybody falls in line. What was the cue? Andrew, you've heard that song, right, Rev?
Yeah, but maybe this is too much to say. Maybe this is too much of a digression. But you brought up Coltrane, and we're talking about late Coltrane when he was sober
Mm-hmm.
and when he got clean. He got on some other stuff, man, and I think everybody that played with Coltrane, certainly in that band, but from like then on, it was a spiritual thing, and it transcended being about chops and talent and was pure message. So how could they not come in at the right time? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like, uh, oh,
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, man. I'll say this about One Spirit: we've talked about Coltrane and Sun Ra more than once, and it's it's if you're discerning whether or not you should go to seminary, like, yeah, it's that is welcome. Thank you for bringing up Love
Mhm.
Supreme.
Yes, I love the different ways that we experience the divine just in ourselves. And then when we get together like this, we really hear the other points of view, even though we're talking about similar things. And Rev Julie, from the moment I met you in your first year intensive, we were in a small group together, and I just knew, I said, I'm going to be working together closely with you, Rev Julie, because there's something about and this is also true the day after you were ordained. Y'all came in there that morning, Friday morning, no, Thursday morning after the ordination, and you were like oil was dripping from you. You were praying for people, you were calling people forth, you were uplifting and encouraging. You were in the office. It's like somebody who had just been sworn in, right? You had been sworn in and you were about your business, the ministerial business. I mean, you had such full sight. Let me ask you this. Did it last?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. So you still feel
Yeah.
that same authority. Okay, please go.
Yeah. It just, I kept hearing a voice. I think I may have mentioned this to you before the or actual ordination, uh, when we were facing the altar, when we were facing our ancestors.
Hmm.
Just moves me to even tell you.
Hmm.
But the voice was step into your rightful place,
Hmm.
and it's like that voice was so clear. And I was surprised and not surprised, but at the same time, it was like, there's no messing around anymore. You're either going to do this, you're going to step into this, or you're not. And
Hmm.
I did.
Yeah. Andrew, when you were ordained, did you feel anything, Rev? Did anything come together in the moment, or was it more like after the fact? Did
That
you
was
hear
a
any
heavy
special
room.
voices? Yeah.
The room was heavy, I in an indescribable way. Um,
Mhm.
there was a lot of energy in that room, and it was wonderful to be part of it because there's something about energy that specifically knows me, and I
Hmm.
Mhm.
felt specifically known. I what's that thing like? We all want to be known and loved. To be known without being loved is painful, and to be loved without being known is equally painful. But that was a room where I felt known and loved. And when Rev Julie was talking, it brought up a thing. One of the definitions of humility is just an honest appraisal of who one is. It's
Mhm.
not thinking less of oneself. I think people often get confused that humility means to belittle oneself, but it's actually to honestly see oneself, you know? Uh,
Mhm.
and I feel like that's something that certainly happened for me. I had a moment where I kind of more honestly saw myself, I think, you know?
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm. Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it's incredible to be on the other side, having been ordained at One Spirit and then participate in students' ordination is such a sacred holding, and it feels especially precious, like being in the room with new life, but also not being the parent, which is so. It's like it is being a sacred witness to something
Mhm.
that has been happening all along. And it's so clear that what's ordaining you is like we're a proxy for something. If we hand you the oils, or we're praying at the beginning or at the end, or whatever role we're playing in the actual ceremony, to realize that we're really a proxy for your ancestors, for your calling, for the voice that called you, the purpose that called you, and how significant that is it's so meaningful. It's a deep honor. It really is a deep honor. Um, so is there is there anything that you feel would be like in this season? Are you especially excited about any particular idea? Are you studying anything that's lighting you up? Anything that's encouraging you right now? You think about your practice, your ministry. Rev Andrew, I know you've been on tour. I saw you in New York, but my sister was on tour, and that was a blast. Being able to hang out with you and some of the other Revs. Are you actively making more music now? Where's your time going?
I am. I'm doing a lot of strange stuff, and some of it I'm gonna serve as a fill-in minister of music later this month at a church with Reverend Eli is going to preach. So we're doing a thing, um, going on tour soon, and this fall I'm going to do a Europe thing, which will be good. And yeah, I believe in making beautiful things as an act of resistance, and
Mm-hmm.
to take my time and my effort to make something to share with people. I'm certainly glad. I need all the music and art that I consume. I am so
Mm-hmm.
grateful for it every day. And high art and blockbuster movies, whatever, that is a real gift. Like
Mm-hmm.
um, and also I have a lot of room to be surprised. So we're going to see what's going to happen. There's a healthy amount of uncertainty in my life too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I definitely vibe with that. Today, as I was studying Rev Julie, I come across this passage that just I read it every day when I chant, but something about it today just kind of jumped off the page. You ever have that experience where it's like something is so familiar and then it's like I'm seeing it for the first time again. And I was so moved that I thought, this this is what stilling the mind is for. You know, this is what we do it for, so we can catch a whiff of inspiration, of encouragement. That this is my hope. I try to leverage that so that I can be, I don't know if the word is prepared, but I can be more resilient. How about that? In the face of the unexpected. And we know this last year, folks have had a lot of unexpected, not just in our own lives, but in our environment. People are really obviously struggling. And, I'm always talking about faith, practice, and study, and especially study to keep our faith alive. Study something, doesn't have to be a book, but something that keeps us renewing our commitments to this path and to being able to be available should spirit call on you in a so-called unexpected moment, right? Your neighbor needs something, your child needs something. It's not always just in our own personal life. Something comes up in our environment and we have a choice. It's like, am I going to be a friend, a helper, a stranger? Am I here with you or can I step over you? And I just wonder, given the message that you shared about your own healing path, if there's anything that you studied or seen recently or experienced that you might share with folks who are looking for some encouragement, whether they come to One Spirit or not.
I think for me, as I said it on the pulpit, I really truly believe that the kind of woundedness that I had been carrying around most of my life, there was some way that it was going to reveal itself in a way that I could heal it. And I believed that if it wasn't for One Spirit, the container that I was held in, the teachers, the deans, all of it,
Mm-hmm.
I went into that educational academic environment kind of with my dukes already up because that's how I was, right? I was raised, and you heard in my sermon why.
Mm-hmm.
And I was met with love. I was met with non-resistant. I was met with all the opposite of what my experience was growing up. So to be able to heal that and to be able to be held in that container was everything to me. And without it and without that opportunity, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Mm-hmm.
I may be here, but not in the same way. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. And I'm clear even in that story and in that talk that I gave. I don't know what God's plan is for my life. And I've heard and I've studied that it is always good, and I'm learning how to trust that. And I reflect on that story that I don't always know. My plan is not always the best plan. And that my job is to continue to move forward with the best intention. I have my spiritual practice in the morning and set the tone for the day. Hopefully, doesn't throw me off too much because I get thrown. And continue to do what I think I'm being called to do. And like I said, I came into ministerial school with one understanding of where I think I was going, and it's changed and it continues to change. I mean, even today, I had 2 phone calls from 2 different people that I didn't, they called into Inner Light and I was given the call. I had no idea how I was going to be called into ministry with those 2 people. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of where I'm at. I'm moving forward, and that's what I'm doing with my life. I have an independent ministry that I'm developing, and I also am a minister with Inner Light Ministries, which is ministering to my community in whatever way I get called in.
I love that you are by hook or by not by crook, but by hook, a congregational minister anyway. It's like, aha. And there's
Mhm.
no sacrifice, right? Because you're still able to weave your own tapestry, keep going. Can you tell us? I know you just recently launched your website. What is the name of yeah, what's your URL? How can people find
Oh,
you on?
it's www.revjulieinterfaithministry.com. It's
Beautiful.
a long
Thank you
one.
so much. Yes, well,
I
when
got a
this
lot of
video,
help. I got a lot of help, and these young people pick that, and I was like, go with it.
beautiful. I love your website. I think it
Thank you.
represents you well. It's really beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
Rev Andrew, how do people find out about what you've got going on?
Oh gosh. I have a band camp. So my website is under construction right now,
Oh,
so
that's
it's
great.
uh, but I have a band camp that I think is just Andrew Livingston, and you can on Instagram. I think it's Andrew Scrap Livingston. Uh, in the music world, I go by Scrap. I don't know how that started, but for the
Oh, you
last
know that's
couple
going
of
to be my
decades,
next question. How did we get scrapped?
I think on the way to I think if I remember right, on the way to a gig like 20 something years ago, a drummer just said, "Your name is Scrap," and it stuck, and it found its way into other areas of my life that I did not intend. A good one
That's hilarious.
syllable nickname can go a long ways, you know.
I'm going to give that some thought. Wonder what mine would be. Um, I want to really deeply appreciate the two of you for taking the time today to share your perspectives and your experience. When I think about what's got me excited about ministry these days, it is dialogue with people whose life experience is so different from mine and yet so similar to mine. That inner life is so similar, and the outer life, the camouflage, the uniform that we're wearing, the costume that we're wearing seems to distract me sometimes. Like I really think we're different. But then when we talk one on one, I'm like, whoa. Then we add another person and another, and it gets richer and deeper. And then I'm actually learning something. And that's where my mind and heart is now is like, maybe I don't need to prove anything to anyone. Maybe what I'm trying to do is have these deeper, richer experiences of being alive here and now, given that these times are so wild. Seems like the best thing I can do is try to, what Dr. Cornell West says, and it blesses me every time. He says, you can have hope, but really what we need is to be a hope.
Hmm.
And that's what I'm hoping to keep using that word, that I'm hopeful that what we're sharing with people helps them to feel connected to hope, whether it's about their spiritual education or just the day that they're having, that we're not ever really lost, even though the road sometimes disappears under us. We're not ever really lost. And sometimes it takes that experience of feeling found again um, to recall, to remember in our deeper bodies that we're never alone and we're never really lost. I think somehow, in all of what we talked about today, that's what I'm picking up is um, all these different experiences, but there's one continuing deeper foundation that knows us. How did you say it, Rev Andrew? You were talking about the environment or the space that knows your name or knows you already knows you.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yes, the energy that already knows you. And that feels closer than our own breath, doesn't it? Um, yeah, so it's so intimate. It's almost romantic, but um, I'm certainly grateful for the ways that love continues to love us into our path. And so, as we get ready to go, I just want to offer a blessing to the folks who may be watching this later. It's been so wonderful to have the both of you here. And I want to just pour a little bit of good stuff back into you. The both of you are so primed to really serve right where you are, and you're already doing it. And so, by the power vested in me, I want to supercharge what you're already offering, where Spirit is already leading and guiding and directing and protecting you, as my grandmother would say.
Mm,
And I'm covering you in that same energy of a grandmother's prayers. For as deep as your concerns are, as broad and as wide as they are, that is the same amount of grace that you would know as you continue throughout your path. May your travels be blessed and your directions and the twists and turns all be blessed. And may you have an experience, no matter what your day is like, may you have the inner experience of being known already, already seen, already loved, already known. And may the good energy from this conversation that we've had today, any merit that we've accumulated as a result of our intention, may that spread far and wide to every area of this planet where any being and every being, no matter what their condition of life is, will somehow feel a touch, a ripple, and the impact of the goodness we've attempted to share today. May it be so. I appreciate and admire you both.
thank you.
Looking forward to the next time we get to see each other again.
Mhm. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
We had a good
Well,
hang.
It's been a joy to be with both of you.
yes,
Likewise.
it's been great.
Likewise.
Thank you both. See you next time.
Thank you.
Everybody, see you next Wednesday at 5. We'll be back. Peace.
Blessings.
Blessings.